glaring at you. Not a comforting feeling, to say the least. I also hated, with emphasis on the hate, camping outside during family reunions, mostly on the left side of the house. There was a rock on the left side of the house, and there was something definitely wrong about it. This was the side where my grandfather often found little things, like glass bottles and various items buried in the dirt. Nothing scary like bones, but just items that were strange, to say the least. It was always on that side. The rock, as I stated, was on that side as well, and being around it even during the day made you feel terrified for some reason. Standing on it made you feel like there were electric currents going up your spine, and you would almost instinctively get off of it. I hated sitting on it alone and often avoided that side of the house altogether. But one day when a friend was over, he was a bit more courageous. We were sitting on this rock talking about a friend of hers that went to another school. Suddenly crows began to gather on the trees around us. We left and they followed us all around the house and the driveway, no matter where we went. At first we thought it was funny, joking about it, but it was uneasy enough that we went inside the house. Maybe it was a weird coincidence, but it was still very strange. After I turned 10, I was living with my parents, but after a time my mom had to leave me with my older parents until she could come back to live with us. After we moved, I talked to my stepdad about the place, and he confirmed that the place did not feel right, especially at night. He told me a story of when he was in the front porch, and he heard a low, humanoid growl from that side of the house when he was smoking. My dad is a military guy. He's tough to scare, tougher even to startle, so upon hearing this sound, he ran to check with a flashlight nearby, but found nothing. He always told me that the place gave him the creeps. One night when I woke up to head downstairs to the bathroom, I had to pass over 4 windows, and the entire time it felt like something was following me from window to window. The main hall windows were square, and started at your waist and went upward. Not surprisingly, they led to the front porch. Every time you passed them, you wanted to run as fast as possible to get away from those windows. Now these stories might just be us teens and kids being paranoid, but this last part is the most chilling. It was spring nearing fall time. It was dark outside. My middle sister was in the kitchen, and I was on the sectional couch, and I was on my laptop. My little sister was on the other couch near the door to the kitchen. My dad was a seat away from me watching TV, and my grandmother was near the TV on the right-hand side on her computer playing games. I remember typing out a reply to a friend of mine online and getting up to get something to snack on. My grandmother also got up to go use the bathroom, and she saw me smoking. She pointed and said, "Someone's outside." My dad sprung to action. My grandfather must have heard the yelling after my dad went out. My grandmother shouted that it was a black shadowy figure. They were standing in the yard, staring inside. At the time, we had a large overhead light screwed into the telephone pole outside, casting a bright white light in the yard. It lit up everything, no matter where you were standing outside. So the fact that this thing was black still. It may have been humanoid, but it definitely wasn't human. When they went outside, they saw the black figure crouching behind the picnic table my grandfather made, which was even closer to the light source. Yet still, there were no details to be made out of this person. I think my dad said it was just a black form. When my grandmother yelled again and my dad saw it, they said the figure darted over the fence. When my dad and grandfather pursued him, they found no one. No one running down the hill, and besides the fact that it would have been obvious, there was nowhere to hide. The grass was short, and everything was out in the open. It was impossible for this figure to have gotten away that fast. They searched for half an hour or so, but found no one. This also happened a second time, and still even that time we found no one. My grandmother, finding something to explain it, said that it must have been some kids from our neighbors playing a prank. However, given everything I've told you, I find that hard to believe.